So I've dabbled in jazz records for a long time. Early records that I liked, John Coltrane, Blue Train, Love Supreme, some Miles Davis records, especially Kind of Blue, Milestone, some other ones, some Billie Holiday, some Nina Simone, but never gone like that into jazz, mostly because I find it too chaotic and too busy for me. And that's still the case. My partner, my girlfriend, has a pretty huge jazz collection. And therefore, I've been listening to a lot more jazz since we met. But it still kind of stands true for me. If it gets really busy and really noisy, really chaotic, I tend to tune out. One thing I've always thought that jazz gets right is the liner notes. Like, I love the fact that most jazz records, you turn them over and there's like just tons of information. But a lot of that information I don't care about. And I guess that goes back to what my relationship is with jazz records. In a way, it's the same way as it is with rock and roll. I don't tend to like progressive music. I don't tend to like flashy music. I like hooks. I like what the Ramones and punk rock did to rock and roll. I like that it stripped it back. Things were getting excessive. And I still love a lot of classic rock stuff and various different kinds of music, but I don't tend to like stuff that is known for extreme musicianship that's just gonna wow everybody. It's like, okay, cool. Are there good songs? Are there things on this record that are gonna make me want to come back and listen again and again and again? And like, I love those jazz liner notes, but so often it's about playing 16th notes or different tempo changes, different time signatures. I love the biographical information. I just kind of don't care about the rest. And I guess that explains sort of what my relationship is with jazz. It doesn't impress me that it's super hard to play or that they're doing super innovative things. Same way as rock and roll. Does it sound good? Do I want to keep listening to it? And one thing that I've realized is I really like jazz that sets a mood, that makes you feel like you're at a smoky club late at night and you're having a cocktail with someone special, and you can just feel like the artist is playing in the room. And one of the things that I really discovered about jazz after getting more into vinyl in the last few years is just how pure that sound can be. Because unlike our favorite rock and roll records, the ones that everybody will cite as a top 20 favorite, these records are not multi-track the same way. They tend to be recorded live in the studio. No overdubs, or very few. So there's just a purity to it, especially if you get a really good pressing, that just is incredible. And it can sound like someone is literally playing in the room with you. And I absolutely love that. So these jazz records that I'm going to highlight, my 5 favorites right now, are very much jazz records that set a tone, set a mood, whether it's having cocktails, after work, or late at night listening, or Sunday morning listening. A lot of these records just sound so good in the morning. These are the type of records you could read a book while you're listening to. They set the mood. They don't necessarily demand attention, but when you do pay attention, look out, because it just sounds phenomenal and it just really can pull you in. One of the first records that kind of pulled me in recently is the record that's behind me, John Coltrane's Ballads. Now, maybe some people will say this is a lesser Coltrane record. Okay, yeah, I've heard Blue Train. I like it a lot. I've heard Love Supreme, of course, and other Coltrane records, but this is my favorite because it just sets such a nice mood. And it's instrumental. There's no vocals on any of these 5 that I'm going to share. I feel like that's a little bit of a different thing, and I might do that too, because there's certainly a lot of jazz with vocals that I absolutely love too. But this is just such a good record, perfect for like happy hour or something. Just sets the stage. It's a very nice record. And when I say happy hour, I mean like happy hour at home. The one behind me is, these 2 are sort of like my favorites right now. The one behind me just sounds absolutely incredible. I think I've talked about it before. One Flight Up, Dexter Gordon. It is the best sounding record, bar one, that I have in my collection. And that is, we'll get to that a little bit later. But this one Flight Up, is just sounds so good. It really does sound like the person's playing in the room. And I love Dexter Gordon. I really like what I've heard of him. I don't think it's gotten better. Nothing's beat this record for me yet. It really just sounds phenomenal. It's one of those records he did when he was in Paris. And yeah, it's a special record. One Flight Up. If you're looking for just a great sounding record, this is definitely a good one. One of the best arguments, I think, for getting into vinyl or playing vinyl records that you could possibly make if you put this on for someone and they're sort of into jazz, because it will blow you away with fidelity and just the pulling you in and making you really really go wow. Okay. I love this record. Okay, the one behind it is Midnight Blue, Kenny Burrell. This is a guitar based record. The band kind of builds around the guitar player Kenny Burrell. Just really, really soulful, lyrical lines that he plays. Again, just sets a very nice record. It's one of my very nice mood. It's one of my favorite album covers too. I just love this Midnight Blue. Some people will recognize it from Elvis Costello, Almost Blue. Kind of obviously use this as an inspiration, but can't recommend this high enough either. Kenny Burrell, Midnight Blue. The next one on my list here is something else. This is billed as a Cannonball Adderley record, but apparently it's kind of more of a Miles Davis record because he technically could not put it out at the time under his name, so it came out under Cannonball Adderley's name. But it is such a nice Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley record. It really sets a tone again. Playing's exceptional. It's a little bit more laid back than Kind of Blue. I think I might prefer it depending on the day, but very, very nice record. Something Else, Cannonball Adderley, Miles Davis, Hank Jones, Sam Jones, Art Blakey. Don't you kind of wish rock and roll did that sometimes? That they just would have like the people's names, especially with solo artists. I kind of wish people would do that, like Joe Henry, and then who are the lead, the other members of the band at that particular time that are playing. I really like that about jazz. And I know like at the time, people were playing with different people and it was always kind of, fascinating to see who was going to back who up. But I don't know. I really like the packaging in general on jazz records. Really cool graphic treatments, great information just right up front. And then of course you turn it around, like I was saying, and you always get like a really nice bio on the back. Sometimes a little too technical for me, but I always appreciate the biographical information. Which record is coming, following which record, where are they at in their career. And these are not revised. They're never revised liner notes either. They're pretty much the ones that got published when these were brand new. So yeah, Something Else. Definitely recommend that one. Okay, I'm going to reach for the last one. And again, these are in no particular order. People definitely know what this one is. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. This is a UHQR. I know that sounds phenomenal. It's like mastered at a very half-speed master kind of thing. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. It's my girlfriend's copy. I've had Kind of Blue for ages, but I must tell a story. I'm friends with Mazzy, as most of you know, and I was over at his place once. We were over at his place, and he put on this record, and he had me sit positioned just right between his two speakers, and he's got a phenomenal stereo setup, of course. Puts me between the two speakers and just has me sit down. Now this is a spot that he sits in when he really wants to listen to a record, and I was blown away. It really felt timeless. Like I could not believe that this record came out in the 50s, and I'm hearing it, and I'm hearing his breath and just reverberations of his trumpet, things that not so much things I hadn't heard before in the mix, but a feeling like you were really truly part of it. Just exceptional. And of course this record itself is exceptional too, and just kind of one of those staples. But I think maybe because of that experience of listening to it again and hearing it that way, it just makes it really, really special. Of course it's a great record anyway, but I like the mood that Kind of Blue sets for the most part too. So it's hard to go wrong with any of these records. These 5 records, if you're looking to get into jazz, I think it's a great place to start any of these. If you're already into jazz and you missed a couple, pick these up, check these out. These are just 5 exceptional records, and 5 records I go back to all the time and look forward to playing as I wrap up this video. I'm like, oh, let's put one on and have a couple drinks. So thanks everyone. Enjoy.